right, back again with Pops here in Pop's Corner. Today we're going to be talking about something that I don't know if it will ever be surpassed, if it's ever been done otherwise, but we're going to be talking about a 500-pound deadlift for 49 consecutive years. For me, as someone who is involved in strength, who has lived a life of strength and observed strength at many, many levels, as I mentioned, I've never seen anything quite like this. I've never heard of anything quite like this. You've expanded a 500-pound deadlift across more than a lifetime for many people. When I talk to people about strength and they ask me, what is a good deadlift? What should a man be able to deadlift? 500 pounds tends to be the point where you're either fishing or cutting bait. And to do that over and over and over again for so many years, to avoid injury, to overcome injury, to have that kind of sustainable strength just blows my mind. I mean, I think about myself. I've been lifting, and I'll say this, at a moderate to high level for close to 20 years, and I can't hardly imagine what my body will feel in another 20 years, and that still leaves me 9 years short. So let's talk about this. At 15 years old, or 15 years young, you pull 500 pounds for the first time, and that started all of this.
Pretty much. And there's so many great thoughts I have and warm thoughts about it, because you're spanning a half a century, basically. I really didn't have the room when I started lifting to lift overhead or squat. I didn't have squat racks. My ceiling in my basement was only the height of my head. So what could I do? Deadlift. And I used to look at magazines and watch. I liked deadlifting because it seemed like the king of the lifts, the real raw strength that you had to have. So I started deadlifting. And I started probably when I was about 10. And when I got up to 12 years old, I was about 133 pounds. I so wanted, and I got my New York barbell, I so wanted to deadlift 400 pounds. And on the night before I turned 13, crying at 11:20 at night, I deadlifted 400 at 12 years old. And to me, that was pretty cool.
Right.
So that kind of set the stage as I started putting body weight on, started pulling some pretty good weights. Well, I weighed about 165 at 15, and I still have the picture. I pull 530 on the same set of weights that you see downstairs on the platform.
Right.
So those weights have stayed with me through 49 years of passion. But I remember how each year, 500 pounds is a lot of weight. It is the defining point. It's not great. I wasn't a great deadlifter, but I was a consistent deadlifter, and for being a big, tall, lanky kid, I really put a lot of effort into it, and I put a lot of stock into it. I remember through the years as I moved along, I remember the years that I used a thick axle bar and did over 500. I remember I walked in the gym at the university one day, and everyone was laughing, and they were pointing at the record board. Well, some big guy came in and deadlifted 575 to break my record in there. But the problem was I had a full leg cast from my hip to my foot. I had broken my leg in a motorcycle wreck. Mm-hmm. So, undaunted with my cast on my leg, I pulled 580 on one leg.
Well, I'll match you there, because it was 4 months to the day after my surgery, the first fall. Or actually, no, it was my second surgery because I'd been repaired. I had a cast from upper thigh, just at the groin area, to ankle, and there was an open window so that any of the pressurized swelling could kind of ebb and flow out of that point. There was 500 pounds on the bar, and nobody was really paying attention, because if they were, they would have stopped me. I went straight over to this thing, and I started pulling it, and one of the sutures opened up, and that sebaceous fluid started just shooting across the gym.
That's a one-up there now.
It's not a one-up because you pulled a little more weight, but, you know, I get that, and that really, it defines you, because I understand that definition of it's a line of craziness and passion, right?
If you look at life and think back 10 years or 15 years, all the things that change in your life. You go to school, you have children, you compete in athletics, but still every year you have enough in you to pull that 500. You get married, you have children, you start a business. Still you get home 9:30 at night and go downstairs and deadlift after you work 2 jobs in a day, but still you get 500-pound deadlift. And as long as it was 500 or better, that was telling me that I still have it. I still have more so the passion and love for it, because it doesn't matter. It's going. I always say it's going up no matter what.
Right.
So, and I started thinking. I said it became a celebration each year that at least 500 pounds. That means 49 years of straight working out. Mm-hmm. I haven't had many breaks.
Right.
You know, and the first time that I wanted to make that 50th, I didn't realize I had a 6-week-old bleed in my stomach, and I almost bled out completely. And I was in the emergency room the next day, but at least I got the 500 off the floor. But as much as I hoped to do 50 years, it was not to be.
Let's backtrack just a second, because you talked there about something that, it lets you know that you're still going. It lets you know that you're still a part of it, of the fight, right? I think as men, especially in this day and age, it's really important to try to understand ourselves, to try to understand men as a whole, because I think there's a lot of confusion going around about what men are, what men's motivations are. Simply put, I think you just touched on it, that above all, if you take away my ability to fight, if you take away my ability to recognize that I still have a chance, then I'm already dead. What do you think this meant to you, even before you recognized where you were going with it? How much did you tie yourself to that feeling?
Well, the word you said, tie, it gives you an anchoring point that you could refer to. Mm-hmm. That what is strong? What is strong to you might not be what is strong to me.
Right.
What is strong to Larry Pacifico or Ed Cohn or Bill Kazmaier might be different. Is it strong of will? Is it strong of keeping up for years training? Is it strong enough to set a world's record and say, hey, guys, bye, I'm done? What is that anchoring point that tells you I am a man, I am dedicated to something? Mm-hmm. And then if you're dedicated to something, you can become more dedicated to your family, mm-hmm. your business, your work, your other passions. Fly fishing, I would love to be dedicated to fly fishing because I see it as an art and a very cool thing. But the passion, once you establish your anchor, something that you know where you stand in the continuum, your life could grow from there. It's not the feat in itself. It's saying, I can do this, I could do other things.
I think that's always been, the saying, everything I need to know about life I learned in kindergarten. But now there's been this kind of revolution of everything I learned about, or everything I needed to know about life, I learned under a barbell or over a barbell. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because as people, you're trained in overcoming failure in the gym. It's a constant smack you in the mouth kind of reminder when you try to pick up something that you cannot lift. Yeah. All the work that you've done previous led to this point. So you can either get mad and frustrated, or you can go back and analyze. And I think that strength progression is really, it can become maddening, but it can also become a way to channel your thoughts and channel your ideas, and you can be creative with it.
Well, I think it sets the stage, and being realistic, because I'm getting older now. If I hung my hat only on one thing, it would not be there very long. You can't hold. That's why being able to do something 49 years is hanging my hat longer than I should have. Okay, but once it's gone, And if the only thing you identified yourself was to do a great lift or win a championship, what more has been established to hold you for the rest of your life, where you could hold your head up a little bit and be a productive part of society? But if being under that barbell, like you said, gave you those gifts to be able to deal with people, deal with something that was against you, that bar didn't want to move and you wanted to move it. The same thing is applied to life. The responsibility of showing up in a gym every day, feeling good, bad, sick, tired, pissed off, whatever, but you were there working out. If that was not changing your character, nothing would. The barbell is important because it is a part of that recipe that makes that magic. It is. We could apply the same thing and the same effort to any sport, to any activity, to doing anything, to the ministry, whatever someone finds that anchor, that thing to tie to that you mentioned, it's magic. We just happen to find it maybe doing deadlifts or squats.
So I want to talk about the moment when I was there when you pulled, I think, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and then I was also there the year that you attempted for your 50th. And I was watching you warm up. I was standing right beside the stage. I was even talking to you at a couple points. And I remember all those years, your approach never looked any different to me. Your demeanor, the way that you were interacting with other people, it never changed. At any point, at any time, even at number 50 or in the 30s, was there ever a time that you truly doubted that this was going to happen? Because I know you're a relentlessly positive person. You said it's going to go up no matter what. I've heard you say that many, many times, and I think you do have to approach that. But I also know there's been a couple times since my injury that when you get under the bar, that voice that's always driven you is screaming, you got this, you've trained for this, this makes sense, this is mathematically sound, this is all the things that you need to know to do it. But then there's that little voice that creeps into my head that's like, that knee doesn't feel too good. That knee's not right. That knee's not ready. And you have to have that balance and just trust. Like I said, I'm not afraid of getting injured again. That has never been a point for me that would stop me from anything, because I feel like injury and hurt is a part of life. It's a part of doing something at a level. Did you ever feel at any given time that you didn't have the best opportunity to do that lift?
I doubted at times the possibility of doing it because, for example, this past year, it's almost to the day, I had a terrible accident, breaking many bones, my neck, ribs, all that about, dislocating everything, and I thought it was the end. And I wasn't able to train or hardly walk. And when Summer Strong came up, that feeling that no matter what, you broke up son of a gun, you need to be ready. And I wasn't planning to lift. And my grandson, I asked him at 6 years old, would he take the place for G-Pops to lift? And he pulled his record. And the thing was, he didn't walk away. He came back and he sat down and he wanted to see more. Mm-hmm. For a 6-year-old to do that, that means all the positive things that have been put out here, or the things I did to encourage him or his dad did, were working. Well, when he sat down and he wanted to see his G-Pops lift, I'll tell you this, if it killed me on the platform, I'd have done it. And I seriously said to myself, I don't know if I could pull 135 today. I was hurting that bad. Mm-hmm. And somewhere, somehow, 135 went, I was surprised. 225 went, I was amazed. And in the end, a double with 335. Mm-hmm. I don't know where it came from. I thought I was dying. But it had to be done. It was part, I couldn't take time for self-doubt. I had to do this because it mattered, not for me, but for the crowd that someday will be hurt like you've been hurt and come back. Or my little grandson seeing what his granddad's going to do Did he have the sand to come back and do it? It's done for a higher purpose than for me to deadlift whatever.
Right.
It's not about that. It's not about me. But if you're in a position that you can inspire or help other people, you're obligated in your soul to do it. At least I feel that way.
Sure. What did that mean to share the platform with not only Bert, with the little man, and I mean that's 3 generations of Sorens. Not only that, but it's on the platform here at Sorinex, and the thing that we all have to understand. And I had this conversation the other day. There was a point in time where I believed that powerlifting needed me as a person.
Yes.
Right? And I think that, again, going back to that tie, powerlifting doesn't need me at all. I was convincing myself that it needed me because I needed it. How much do you think people understood what the emotion was for you to share the platform with those 3 people? And knowing that you didn't have to do anything because you are Richard Soren, you are Pops, you are the founder of all this, but you're still going, you're still in the fight. What did that feel like for you?
To me, it was probably one of the sweetest moments of my life. To others, some of them might not have noticed. They might have been into doing their events or whatever. I think there was more than a few that know me well enough that they got it, and maybe that helped them want to go out on the platform, which they did, and lift. And sometimes say, instead of saying, woe is me, say, whoa, what could I do?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do with what I have left? I can't close this hand, but I got 2 fingers, I could hang onto a deadlift bar.
Right.
I can't put my shoulders back, but I could put a bar over one shoulder and squat.
Right.
It's what you have, what you can do with what you have left, and what that end result is for other people. Does it help? Does it inspire them? Does it help grow this business? I have a great opportunity to make an impact by coming up with simple devices or training ideas and whatever. And I feel obligated to do it. And it's important to me. While I've never been the strongest guy, I tried like hell. And if I can inspire others to try like hell, it's going to be a better world, perhaps. Because people today don't have traditions or really care as they did back in the day, like we were talking about, the big power meets. They're more spread out. They're into their phone. It's not. I enjoy looking at you eye to eye because I'm learning more about you every minute as a person.
Right.
Very few people do that anymore. They don't communicate in that way. They have bells ringing when dinner is ready, when the pizza arrives. What's that about? My grandson, we cook, cut up the meat, go to the grocery store together. He pushes the cart, he loads the groceries, he helps me, cuts his own food. He's learning to be a man and a responsible adult, but you need to pass that on to him. Yeah, I could do it all for him, but I don't. You have to help other lifters along by observing your passion for whatever you do, or to say, yes, I encountered that problem and you could get through it, you can do it. You're better than you ever were, ever. And that's your gift that you're giving back from all those things you learned from barbells. That's what it's about.